that we can usually come to a common thought on that doesn't interfere with your political party philosophy. And so this is how we came up with this. And so we regularly kind of bounce ideas back and forth. And this is one that took wings. We have a lot more in the hopper that we're working on.
Anything you could spill right now?
Nothing of any. I know one of the areas that we're real interested in is community policing and safety, because all communities deserve and need to be safe, and that's an area that we share an incredible interest. We serve on we did before. He's no longer on the committee, but we served on the Homeland Security committee together, and we worked together on the Safer Cities Act that we were able to pass that put New Orleans in a stronger place given the terrorist threats and cyber threats, as well as threats of chemical warfare, that New Orleans would be added to a list of other major cities, even though we're not the same size. But because of the work we do, Sugar Bowl, Super Bowls, Mardi Gras, and things of that nature, we've been able to get that classification. Mike and I work together on that bill as well.
I didn't mean to get you off track right there. We got Congressman Troy Carter with us. It's DC Current, presented by LABI. Let's go back to the small business bill real quick. Early support, what are we looking at? I mean, I feel like a lot of folks are going to line up to co-sponsor this.
I suspect so. We've got, I don't remember what the count is, but we do have a large amount of bipartisan support with members of that have signed on already. Mm-hmm. Maybe in our next week I'll be able to give you a number. Maybe Sarah can shoot that to you.
Sure.
But we have again, this is one of those measures that you're hard pressed to be opposed to this, right? Because it just makes good common sense. If we really want to support small businesses, if we really believe in the overstated mantra of, and when I say overstated, because we say it so much, but we don't always back it up. This is a case where we're backing it up, that small businesses are, in fact, the backbone of our economy. Mm-hmm. We should support them. We should make sure they stay open. This does nothing to have shuttered storefronts in your downtown.
Right.
It does everything to have those storefronts open. It does a number of things. It provides resources. It pays sales taxes. It brightens and cleans up the community. It keeps the bad guys away, because we know that shuttered doors don't enhance your downtown. They're not good for downtown. This is a way to make sure that we are encouraging people to open businesses, and those that are in business to stay in business.
Only hindrance here I'm seeing so far, Congressman, is that it is you get the word pilot written in there. Does that mean it's going to start small, and does that run the risk of having those who aren't included in the first round, maybe some sour grapes on that end?
Well, the reason it's a pilot is because sometimes it's easier for us to launch a smaller program to demonstrate its value and to get it through the system, and then come in to demonstrate we have data to show that it really works. And don't be alarmed by the pilot nature of it. That just says that we're testing how big we can make this. Our hope is that we will be able to fund this and make it something that's nationwide and has real value and real teeth. So the pilot only denotes the amount of yet to be determined what these grants are yet, and then to figure out how we can backload even more into it and help more small businesses.
And that is being reintroduced, or you're being introduced this morning, if I'm not mistaken. So timeline-wise, we'll have plenty of follow-up on that one. We got about a minute to go with Congressman Troy Carter. Anything else you're working on or wanted to touch on this morning?
Yeah, I want to talk about the 900-pound gorilla in the room, and that is these huge, the big, as referred to by my colleagues in the Republican Party, the big beautiful bill. The big beautiful bill is going to be very painful for a lot of people. Under this plan, it will impose $900 billion in Medicaid cuts, which will result in 14 million people losing their health care. What does that mean in Louisiana? Well, let me tell you. Under this plan, some 219,000 Louisiana residents will lose their Medicaid coverage, will lose access to the Affordable Care Act, $300 billion in SNAP funding. Brother, that means a lot of children, a lot of working families are going to be hungry. Listen, this is not Republican or Democrat, and I say this all the time. This is just mean-spirited. When you dig into the numbers, and I have, and many others have, and Republicans and Democrats alike. Remember, this bill only passed the House by a margin of one.
Mm-hmm.
We had Republicans that were with us on this, demonstrating that this is not a partisan issue. This is about people's lives, people with disabilities, people living in nursing homes, people who are the working poor, who do go to work every day, but they still don't earn enough money to provide health care for themselves and their families. And here's what's going to happen. I was in the state Senate when John Bel Edwards expanded Medicaid. We would instantly be able to at that point, we were instantly able to put people on the rolls. We were also able to start opening those shuttered clinics and hospitals in rural areas. Let me be the first to tell you what's going to happen. Those hospitals are going to start closing. Those emergency rooms, those prenatal cares, those opportunities for our friends that live in rural areas will no longer have access to hospitals. They will have to drive very far, just like they did before the expansion of Medicaid. This is real, and these numbers will bear out that at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who will be harmed. And let me end with this. We all support rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. We all support taking people off the rolls that are ineligible and should not be on. But I'm telling you, even if all of that is found, there's still going to be a great deal of pain. And a lot of people who deserve to have these resources will no longer have them.
That's where we're going to have to pick up the conversation next week. He is Congressman Troy Carter. We always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
Bless you, my friend.
Always. So we talked about that last week a good bit. And I got so much pushback after the fact as to where the Medicaid cuts were going to be coming from. As far as no more Medicaid for illegal immigrants, no more Medicaid for able-bodied Americans. So we need to find the middle ground there. And I think that's what we're going to work on for next week's segment. Nope. Yep, you did right. $12, $13, and $14. Yeah. Oh, your headline for Newt Gingrich: moving MAGA beyond Trump. .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Halliday before we hand off to Moon Griffon and the Moon Griffon Show. Moon is slated to be in town tomorrow. He was supposed to come to town today, so we were going to hand the studio off to him today, but he didn't want to drive through all that mess this morning, and I don't blame him. So hopefully tomorrow it's a little more clear until he gets here. Also, tell you tomorrow it's to be a good day for Moon to be in town because Jude A will be reconvening tomorrow. Senate Judiciary Committee A, where so many great insurance bills go to die. Well, some bills now have a second life. Key bills in the insurance commissioner's package that I believe would affect rates in this state. I believe that. I don't know how much I know. I know that I listen to a lot of people who do know a lot more than me, and they believe that. So I will believe it as well. So you get Moon Griffon 9 to 11 right here on Talk 107.3 FM and statewide. And tomorrow you will get him in studio, which means he'll also be on our social media, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. Before we get out of here, there was a power outage in the New Orleans area over the weekend that affected about 100,000 Entergy customers. The story per our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. This, you know what? This is down in New Orleans, so let's go ahead. This is the outside in. All right, so One public service commissioner says one culprit could be massive cuts in federal staffing when it comes to the power outage over the weekend. As more than 100,000 people in the New Orleans area were subject to rolling blackouts. Devontae Lewis says this wasn't the first time this year that a part of Louisiana was subject to rolling blackouts.
We had two in the Southwest Power Pool that affected Bossier, Houghton, Shreveport, one day in April and the second day in April.
And now we've had this one in New Orleans over the weekend. Lewis says they anticipate how much electrical load they're going to need for a particular day based on that day's weather forecast. And one day last month, the forecast from the National Weather Service was significantly off.
In one of the load shed events in Shreveport just last month, the challenge was that the forecast had it 6 degrees cooler than what it was.
So Lewis says if you want to point the finger at someone for that, two people he implied could be to blame would be President Trump and Elon Musk.
This could be related to some of the DOGE cuts at the federal government of those who are predicting the weather patterns, which utilities and the RTOs use to make their load forecasting as well.
I love how quickly, I mean, you're talking record land speed to get to that conclusion. And he said one thing it could be. One thing it could be. It takes a significant amount of hate of someone to get there that quickly. Not only to get there that quickly, but just to ignore climate change overall. I mean, on any other day with any other administration, climate change would have been the culprit. But no, it's Doge instead. All right, we got to get out of here. Moon's next. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Later on.